What's going on, guys? Your boy Mahados, and I'm back with another video. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Eid Mubarak to all my brothers and sisters who participated in the month of Ramadan. But yeah, it's time to get back to work, guys, because Ramadan's over. I was focusing, and now it's just time to get back into the motions, right? I just recently launched a website, guys, called mohodls.com. Literally, like it is in this corner, just .com at the end. Um, and the purpose of this site was just so that I can have all my research compiled into like one blog instead of like Twitter threads. Thought it'd be cleaner and I can do a little more in-depth research. So yeah, I'm gonna be adding a newsletter option soon. So any research that I do will be immediately shared with anybody who's interested. But this is something I love to do, and so I just thought I'd definitely have to you know um, start this website sooner or later. So I don't want to get too sidetracked, but the focus of today is going to be helium. And for all the people who have been watching my channel long enough, know that I've made a video on this a long time ago, literally like in January of last year, where price was almost below $2. Excuse me. And it was completely like new in a sense, right? It was like only like 20,000 miners active at the time, and right now, I wrote this article April 30th, and there was 770,000 hotspots, and this thing is growing so fast, guys. It's literally been like 6 or 5 days now, and I literally just took the screenshot. But even right now, when you look at it, there's been an additional 17,000 hotspots added, guys. This network is exploding, guys. And you can just take a look at the United States, like how much people are adding miners all over the world. And then you like, because Helium is decentralized, guys, it's a global network. You can literally see that it's all over the world, guys. Like you see over here, guys, like people are going crazy adding miners. Like it's just literally unbelievable to see how many miners are being added all over the world, and in literally every continent, right? So it's really cool to see that, right? Um, and I just wanted to show you this, guys, because literally for the people who saw my first video on this, it was only like 20,000 miners, guys, and just to see this type of growth is unbelievable. So I want to dig in further and kind of give like an update on what's going on with helium, and right off the bat, guys, just looking at the active hotspots, because hotspots are so important for a network like this, is basically equivalent to more people mining Bitcoin, right? The more people that mine Bitcoin, the more stronger the network is, right? And in this sense, helium, these hotspots are also technically miners, because hotspots is going to be like a fancier way of saying it, because these hotspots technically provide coverage. In a way, they provide internet to whomever is around. So it's definitely a hotspot. You can call it a miner as well, because at the end of the day, you are getting tokens for providing that internet coverage, acting as a hotspot. So I hope that made sense. And also, there's 3,600 validators now, and these hotspots are located within 172 countries and 58,000 fucking cities, guys. That's something that you just don't ignore, guys. With that type of power, growth, you know, like just these first couple bullet points, like it just feels like explosive, right? Like this network is literally like going like parabolic, and you can literally see it in this line. Like it's just going straight up, guys. I'm waiting for this thing to flatten out, right? But it is just not. And it's gonna take a while, because right now you're starting to even see like big VCs, popular VCs, almost like celebrity like VCs, like even Kevin O'Leary talking about the Helium network and how it's so great. And I'm gonna give a little bit of background and as well as updates, like almost like a continuation video. So if you haven't seen the first video, go ahead and watch that. But you know, Helium's network growth has been exponential from the early 2021 to the present. Many have found that operating a hotspot allowed for passive income opportunities whilst contributing to a decentralized global wireless network that incentivizes users HNT tokens for securing network, creating a win-win situation for all network participants from the top down to the bottom. So basically, guys, they created the best like business plan, because people who are buying hotspots with their own money, earn tokens, and then Helium, the company, is selling that network coverage to other companies, which we will get into. And if you don't know what Helium is a decentralized open source protocol based on a blockchain for the world. And it uses proof of coverage, which we're going to touch base on. And their whole goal was to just essentially allow everybody to connect together and just create a decentralized network. That's really what the point of this was. And I've always wondered how the Internet of Things was going to evolve, right? And I feel like Helium is actually going to be a big part of that. And so, looking at like this photo, which I've shared in the past, they've had, more partnerships take place now with companies like Airly and Careband, which I didn't see before. And I started looking into these, collaborations a little bit more and seeing how they are actually using them. So we're going to be sharing that a little bit more. But looking at the tokenomics of HNT, there are a cap supply of 223 million HNT that cannot be changed. And currently there are about 120 million circulating tokens. And of course, there are halvings as well, because that's just how the network is sustained, to basically, reward users over time. And, there's also like another mechanism that is into the Helium tokens itself, the HNT tokens. It's called the burn and mint equilibrium. And basically, Helium is burned, which is also good technically for tokenomics, because as the supply is decreasing and, as the supply is decreasing, the demand is going to keep increasing, because as we can see, the hotspots are going parabolic. There's going to be more demand and there's not going to be as much supply, which over time will increase and, make the value of each HNT token higher. And if you guys have used the app, if you have a hotspot like active, whenever you send money, it kind of turns a HNT token into a data credit, and that data credit is then used to pay or access the network. And it's basically an interesting way that it's used, but it basically maintains the network. So anytime you are sending a transaction, it uses data credits, and then that data credit comes from an HNT token that was burned. So yeah, that's how that works. Tokenomics are pretty straightforward. It literally started with 0 tokens, which I thought was really fascinating, and that's pretty cool to see. So consensus mechanism, proof of coverage. So proof of coverage is really interesting because literally, I'm going to actually read what I wrote here. It says each blockchain has a set consensus mechanism to settle transactions. The most common consensus mechanism that we know is proof of work and proof of stake. But Helium uses something called a proof of coverage. Proof of coverage is an algorithm used to verify that hotspots are located where they claim. Then this consensus mechanism involves 3 unique roles, like a challenger, transmitter, and witness. And basically, it's really simple. It's just used, like the proof of coverage algorithm is just to verify where other hotspots are. So in the sense that, there's let's just find a hotspot here, right? This hotspot is in this location. So this hotspot and this hotspot would eventually use, the GPS of where they are and really confirm, is this here? Is this signal coming from this spot exactly where this person is claiming? Because when you actually set up the miner or the hotspot itself, I have a few out there right now. So, it asks you to confirm where it is, like when you place it. So other hotspots are then used, which is, again, proof of coverage, to verify that hotspot is located where you say. So, basically it uses, the GPS and the internet coverage to confirm that every single hotspot is where it is located. So that's kind of the consensus mechanism used. And then I kind of talk about how HNT is earned, and basically you kind of can't choose like which one you're going to be like for, in a sense, like, okay, yes, with network data transfers, they make the most as a miner, but you can't really choose what you want to be because at the end of the day, it's kind of random. You could do different tasks at different times. At one moment, you could be providing proof of coverage. At one moment, you can be a challenger, and then you could be a witness to make sure that a transaction did take place. Right? There's a few different ways that each one of these, um, you know, roles take place. So it is pretty cool on how that all works. And you know, again, you can't really choose which one you're going to be. And also, it's really important to look at your area itself to know that if it's even worth it to like go to buy a hotspot and place it there. But if you believe in the long-term growth, then I think that eventually, like, you know, it's going to be worth it, right? Eventually, it has to be if the token keeps going up in value and you're, you know, making a good amount. But there are people who buy miners and their location is not the best, right? So that's going to be something that I'm not going to cover. And please note that like profits are not guaranteed if you buy a hotspot. So I just want to make that as clear as possible. And you know, just want to touch one last thing on TA perspective. Again, if you guys were following me on Twitter on January 25th, I really just wrote a very small, you know, post talking about what HNT is and why I kind of believed in it. And this is why I started the website, guys, because I did all this research, I did all these things, but I didn't have anywhere where I compiled it, why I believed in it. And so, you know, I thought that, you know, I would start this website so I can give more information, more details, and kind of, you know, lay it out as to why I think certain things will work out the way they do. And then later on, of course, throughout the year, on April 18th, we saw that literally HNT started going on a tear up to like 15 bucks. I think it was like 25 bucks up here. Let me see what that price was. Yeah, no, actually, it like 17. And so then I said that I really can't see why this can't hit $50 to $100 next. And the reason why the range is so like vast like that is because at the end of the day, guys, like, you know, we like as a correction plays out, it kind of like predicates how like strong the next move will be. So I just use like simple Fibonacci, which I'll touch base in a moment. But you know, there's like Fibonacci levels that you can use to kind of predict where price would go. But also, it's not just a simple Fibonacci level. There's like momentum, there's strength, there's a lot of things that go into why I said $50 to $100 and why that price target is so wide. So yeah. And over here, guys, this is pretty much where I just put it up at the end. And, you know, where I would consider starting to ladder is in between 17 and 8 because this is a high time frame demand zone. And I do believe that there is a small chance for our wick region down to $5 because usually, you know, whenever a sell-off happens, it's always going to be like some area or some place where, you know, we have a lot of panic like taking place into the market. And $5 is that mark that I think that it can't go lower than, especially with the type of, you know, strength behind the network itself. And yeah, so I'm gonna go back over here now so I can kind of talk about why I believed that $50 to $100 is possible when we were over here. And the reason for that is because in Elliott Wave, guys, I use Elliott Wave as my main way of trying to forecast price. There's 5 waves in every move, and ideally, every motive wave. So these are motive waves. Every motive wave. Let me change the color of that so it doesn't get confusing. Let's see here. And I don't want to focus too much on price, guys, here because this is predominantly research, but I do still want to give some background on like price because it is something that I still do pay attention to. I think that when you have good research and you're able to look at the charts as well and know where to buy and sell, I think it's really important. But in Elliott Wave, guys, there are 5 waves, and basically the 5th wave, the last motive wave, is usually equivalent to the wave of the distance of wave 3 or 1, right? And after looking at this correction, and we saw that, you know, we stopped at like 20 bucks up here, I pretty much thought that it was possible to either imitate this length right here, which is like taking it and saying, you know, $30, which it's funny that we actually like went to this length here and it stopped. Or we go to the distance of wave 3, which is something like this, right? Which then gave us a price target of all the way up to 160. And I didn't want to sound too crazy. So I did shoot from 50, and ironically enough, that was very like good because we actually did literally spike at $58. I did believe at first that we were going to get another move up here, but it looks like this is like a fifth wave failure, and had like a truncated fifth wave. And I'm not going to get too complicated into the Elliott wave perspective of that, but I did think that from here we were going to get another set of impulses, but it looked like it just broke the trend line and started going downwards, and that's okay. And it is what it is, right? So that's that for HNT. Why I assumed $50 to $100 was next. But I accidentally did miss over one thing, which I want to go back up on, is going to be the like how helium is used and how it's being used in more ways in like that we could never imagine, right? And Airly is basically a company that it's a cost-effective solution for hyperlocal air quality monitoring and control. So basically, Airly is a company that sells sensors, and they put them in cities to monitor air quality. And like, think about how cool that is, guys. Like the Airly is just using like hotspots to like basically connect to the internet and just give like air readings like of the environment, right? And then Lime Scooter is another company, right, where you know you can get like a scooter and you can park it anywhere in the street. I'm sure that anybody who's been to a city recently sees these little scooters on the side of the street. Lime is basically partnered with Helium, and Helium sells the coverage to Lime, and it's really cool to see that as well, because again, it's like a win-win relationship for everybody, because the person who buys the hotspot puts it into their house, right? And then they provide that internet coverage, and they're earning HNT tokens. At the same time, Helium is now taking the internet coverage and selling it to Lime and companies like Airly. So it creates a win-win for everybody. And I think the last one that was really cool was like CareBand, which is basically for people who are older and have dementia. And it kind of, it's like a GPS tracking device that goes on a wrist of these older people, to basically track them via GPS, and making sure that they're okay. And it also does heart readings as well. So it's really cool to see how many ways and different ways that this network is being used. And honestly, guys, I just don't think it's going anywhere. I think the use cases for Helium are going to keep on growing. I've even saw that like cities are going to probably put pipes underground, guys, like pipes underground, like sewers, and they're going to monitor how high the water levels can reach before they're considered a flood, right? And the city can be like they can like prepare for like floods, basically, right? If the water level gets too high too fast, they can start clearing off the streets. They can start taking like precautionary like they can just basically take precautions earlier by just having those kind of sensors, right? But there was never a way to connect to the internet before, right? Like the way there is with Helium today. And I just think that there's so many use cases, guys, and it just falls into my conclusion, guys, that like this network is growing exponentially, despite the way that the price is going down right now. Like, I know that this is like downtrending, but you have to understand, in full context, from 70 cents to $58, right? Now we're down to like, I think it hit 11 at all-time lows, but still, it is very nice to see that this thing is just growing like crazy. And again, the business plan is genius, guys. You can literally see that everybody wins, that is contributing to the network, and Helium, the company itself, and everybody who's mining, even the people who are selling the hotspots, are also winning. And so again, win-win for everybody. I personally think that Helium is here to stay, and I don't think it's going anywhere ever. And of course, I just want to cap this off again with, this is not financial advice. I could be completely wrong, but the research that I have here, I personally believe that it is not. Thank you guys for watching. And as always, haro, haro, haro. Peace.